Hello, good evening. Let me share my screen and we'll start the class. Okay, so yesterday we stopped at the conditional flows. Okay, so we have covered this if condition and else with the example, but here we'll start. We'll start after if condition, what exactly we have it. Okay, so there is one more condition flow statement. Okay, so that is, you know, yeah, switch statement. Okay, so in simple words, what exactly this switch statement, right? Okay, so it is like one statement that will be executed with multiple conditions. Okay, so so this is our syntax. Okay, switch and the expression. And we do have very, like, every case statements will be there. Okay, so values must be of same type of expression. Okay, I'll tell you what exactly it is. Okay, case value 1 and case value 2 and case value 3, and there is a default one which it can execute all the statements which in the default whenever these case values are not matched. Okay, so what is this value 1, value 2, right? It is coming from out of this expression. Okay, so what is the outcome of expression? It should be equals to some of the values, whatever you have written over here, case here. Okay. So by default, like if it is not matching anything, we have a default word. Okay. Default keyword. Then, that statements will be executed and it will be, displayed in the console. Okay. So I'll show you what exactly it is. Okay. How we can execute this switch statement. Okay, if you see here, what I have took, actually I have took, the example for weekdays. Okay, so weekday is going to have some value between 1 to 8. Okay, and 1 to 8 is our, sorry, 1 to 7. Okay, 7 days, right? So 1 to 7, and the default one is, invalid day. Okay, so what I've done, actually I have taken a switch statement. Okay, in the switch. Okay, this is a day which I'm passing it as 9, or which I'm passing it as some other value on the same day. Okay, so what is this day string? Day string is, if we are passing a 1 value, so we are assigning the day string with Monday. So that means, it is a first day of the week, second day of the week, like that. We have 7 days and we have case statements which is assigning the um, seven weekday names into a variable, right? Next, like, in the default case, if you are not passing the correct one, so the default case will be invalid day. Okay, let us try to run that one. Oh, okay, so if I run Java switch condition, okay, what it is giving? It is giving invalid day. Why it is invalid day? Because you are passing 9 over here. right? So let us change it to something else. 4. Okay. Okay. Now Java switch condition. See, it gave us Thursday. So that means the case is getting executed whenever it find the case value. What is this value? It is the output of this day. Okay, so this is the case, one of the case. Okay, so if the day is 4, and it is going to execute case 4. Okay, so similarly, if you give 3, it will give you the Wednesday. And similarly, if you give 2, it will give you the Tuesday as the output. Yeah, same as for the other, for other variables also, like other cases. Okay, this is very simple, right? Okay, any questions on switch? Okay, now let's see what is. Okay, so we know that how computer will is taking decisions based on the instructions, right? Okay, so now let's see, and another important topic, like it is uh, how you can execute a task in multiple times. Okay, okay. So if you see here, okay. So before that, I'll just make you understand what exactly this the one which we are trying to do now. So we have a programming hub. Okay. So we have many tasks that we do in a daily base. So when I say programming hub, okay. See, let us take one such a app that we are continuously developing, and we are testing it. Okay. So for each development, for each add-on of something else to that app, we have to test it continuously. Okay. For each iteration, right? So you have added something, you have to test the same application every time whenever you add something, correct? So this is kind of a repetitive process that we do, right? So every time once the app is changed, and we will engage QA, and then they will test it, and then again we repeat the same process, okay, for the next case. But is there a way that we can automate this? Okay, like that repetitive task, based upon some conditions. Yes, it is possible. Okay, so we can tell computer to do this thing pretty fast based upon a condition. It can iterate on its own. Okay, based upon a condition, and then it repeats the same task. Okay, whatever we are doing it manually for many times. Okay, computer can also do it. Okay, with a single declaration. Okay, but with a different condition. Okay, so it can do that. So this is one of the way that if you wanted to execute a task multiple times. Okay, so how do you do that? So we have to repeat this task, okay, multiple times, okay, in the program, saying that, okay, you you execute this task 1, you execute this task 2, execute this task 3, and we were printing this ABCDs, right? The outcome of that task. Okay, so even though this looks very ugly, like you are writing 10 times in the programming code. Okay, This is the, one of the way that we have it, to execute certain certain tasks multiple times. But this is not a right way, okay? And this is not a good way to complete a task in the repetitive manner, right? So there is no use of writing, you know 10 times, the same code, printing that abcd 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 10 times, right? So the way to this is much a better way that we are going to learn now, okay? So in the programming languages, we have such kind of name called loop. Okay, what is this loop? Loop is kind of, repetitively, it can iterates on its own based upon a condition or, some instructions, for several times. Okay, similar to the if else statement, but a loop is composed of a loop keyword. Okay, so loop keyword means like, there are three different types of loops that we use it in Java. I will I will cover them. Okay. But for now, just consider this is a loop. And whenever you see this something like this, right? Okay, loop and when to stop. And this is test A, test B, test C. These are the things that it is going to repeatedly execute until unless this condition gets false. Okay. So what is this? So in the above set of instructions, like we just learned there are three main things. One is a loop, is a keyword, and when to stop is condition that way to stop this loop. And in the loop block, you have to execute you have to write the repetitive task that you wanted to execute continuously until unless that loop breaks. Okay. Hope you guys understood that. Okay. And these are the loop statements, what you see in the Java. Okay. So do while loop, and for loop, and for each loop. Okay. For each loop, we can discuss when we connect, when we, when we start learning on the collections. Okay. We can discuss on for each loop. Okay. Before that, we'll go with do while and while loop for loop. Okay. So first one is while loop. Okay. So on which scenario that you go with while loop? Okay. Okay. See, when do we go with while loop, right? So you are able to see this image, right? The person, who stays here, he wanted to, you know, he every day morning, actually, he go to post office and checks whether he had a letter or not. Okay. So that means like, every day he's doing a repetitive task, okay, to check whether he received a letter or not, right? So here we don't know when to, when you will receive, the letter, okay? But okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, but you don't know when to, you don't know when to stop this loop, but where when the condition, whenever you receive that letter, you can stop it. Okay, you understood, right? You don't know when to stop, correct? You have to repeatedly go to the post office and check with the postman, whether my letter got received or not. Okay, so that is your condition actually, right? So when to break it? Whenever you have the letter with you. So in certain scenarios, wherever you don't know when to stop our loop, okay? But you know the condition where we need to stop, okay? So when you receive that letter, then you need to stop. So for such kind of scenarios, you go with while loop, okay? So on which condition that you go? Like, we don't know when to stop our loop, but you know the condition where to break it, okay? So this is a continuous loop until unless you receive your letter from post office. You every day you go and check. Every day you go and check. So this is our while loop. Okay. So the syntax is okay. While and condition to stop and instructions. Okay. Instructions means the steps that you wanted to execute every day. Okay. While loop has three main components. One is while keyword. Okay, it will tell that while loop command, okay? So the computer, okay, condition where you exactly write, okay, you exactly write the condition to stop the loop, okay? And instruction block, okay, so what task that you wanted to repetitively run, okay? So you write those kind of instructions in the while loop, okay? So before going to while loop, I already have an example with the while loop. Okay, let's go and check that. Yeah. So you want to print this hello world, okay, while loop, okay, for 6 times. Okay. So what is the condition that you are going to write? So you wanted to print it for 5 times, and so I less than, okay, you took a initializer variable, okay, which which is assigned with the one value for I, okay, and you have the while keyword, and then you added a condition. Yeah, you added a condition which is like saying that while I less than less than 6, okay. So that means first loop will pass it, like, and you have written this system out dot println, which print that hello world while, and you are starting incrementing that I value you know to execute for certain conditions, right? It will execute up to the value of I is less than 6. Okay. So first time what it happens when this program runs, initially the I value is 1, and 1 less than or equals to 1 less than 6. That is true. It is going to execute the value of system.out.println, and the next one is I plus plus. It is going to make I value as 2, and the second condition also 2 less than 6, 2 less than 6, and it executes, and it performs the same thing again. I value will be incremented by 1, 3, like that. It is going to run multiple times, and it reaches I value as 5. Okay, so 5 less than 6, yes, and it comes, and now 6 plus you know I plus plus means the value will be 6. So if 6 less than 6, no, that is not a true statement, right? So the condition gets false, and it will be out of loop, and it come out of the program. Okay, that's simple, right? Yeah, let me execute that. Okay, Java. See, it printed 5 times because we used less than symbol for 6. Okay, so it printed 5 times, and the initial value of I is 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, this is hello world while. Okay, while loop. Let me go back to the this is do while. Okay, so where do we use do while? Okay, there are a lot of, okay, lot of things that we do in our do while kind of thing. Okay, so let's say if you want to buy a book. Okay, if you want to buy a book, actually what you go to the shop, and you just open that book, and you know you try to read a sample, you know content in that book, right? So in that case, what do you will understand, whether you need to buy that book or not. Do you need to continuously read that book? You will be able to understand to go with that book or not, right? So in those scenarios, actually you have to check the book before buying, right? Or like if you go for an ice cream shop, or somewhere, so you generally taste the one which you wanted to take it, or if you want to try another, you generally try that first, a small amount of it, and then you take it, right? So similarly, in certain scenarios in the programming also, we have to check before starting a loop. We have to check initially, okay, uh, you know to continue the loop or not. Okay, so this will happen whenever you read a file. Okay, so what do we do whenever we read a file? Okay, we generally read the file first line, okay, without any condition, and whenever it is done, actually it go ahead and create that loop, to read the next lines of that particular file. Okay, so that means initially when we use do while, you are touching that loop, like without any condition for the first time, and you execute the instructions, you know without any condition or anything. It directly executes instruction for one time. Okay, and then the condition will start. Okay, if you see the syntax over there, do here, do instructions, and then while condition to stop. Okay, so that means first time whenever you enter this do while loop, it is going to come inside this instructions, and it is going to stop the sorry it is going to validate with the condition to stop. Okay, yeah. So yeah, as simple as do is one of the same keyword, like what we use it as while, and it helps us, it helps the computer to understand. It has to execute. Okay, it tells that next block of code is going to be a do while loop. Okay, so yeah, these are like how to create a do while loop, and the same as like while only. You'll be having some curly braces and instructions inside the curly braces, or outside the curly braces. Actually, you will be having the while condition for that loop. Okay, okay. So to guys know what is the output of this? Can anybody guess? Okay, that only one. I think that is correct. Okay, one is the right answer. Okay, so before going to the for loop, okay, one second. Yeah, I have do while program. Okay, just a sample program. So the same way. So I have int value as I equals to 0, and I have given a condition I less than 2. Okay, so the first one, actually the first statement, it will print on its own without a condition. But whenever, okay, one second. Okay, something like this. Okay, so first condition will be printed same as like this, and the second condition will be, based upon the while condition, whatever we have it over here. Okay, so I plus plus 1 less than 2, and yeah, it is still valid, and it go and execute the same instruction back. And here actually, it executes one more time, and then once it is coming back from the do. Okay, so the value will be incremented by 2. Okay, to the 2, and 2 less than 2, this is a false condition, it will come out. Okay, so let's see, it's very simple program. Okay, and Java do while loop. See, it executed 2 times. Okay, 0 and 1, those are the 2 iterations actually it executed. Okay, when it is 2 less than 2, it is a false condition, it just came out of the s- do while loop. Okay, so now for loop. Okay, so what is this for loop, right? Okay, this is very simple. Okay, so you know all the things, the start value and where to stop, and how much, like, you need to increment, so you know everything. Sometimes you need to repeat a task several times, and you know that number of times it should be repeated, and you know what condition that you need to use it, and so everything, so that you can, in that cases actually we go with for loops. Okay, for example, you know that in a week you need to set up an alarm to wake up at 6 a.m. daily. So you know that the alarm task has been repeated for 7 times, and such type of repetitive tasks are done in Java using for loop. Okay, so if you see here, this is how the for loop looks. Okay, for start value and condition to the stop and proceed underscore code. Okay, so what it does actually, inside the loop you will have the instructions to repeat the loop. Okay, so if you see here an example, the initial value of I we are giving as 1, and we have a condition that 1 less than or equals to 10, and the other one is 1 I plus plus. Okay, so it is going to increase the value of I after every iteration of the for loop. Okay, so how it goes: first, when you enter the for loop, okay, it comes here, it initializes I and I equals to 1, then it checks condition 1 less than or equals to 10. Yes, it's a true condition. Then it's go into the loop, and it will execute system.out.println and come back. Okay, and it does the value increment by 1. Okay, so now 1 less than, it is already 1, now it is 2. So 2 less than or equals to 10, yes, it is going to be executed like that. It is going to repeat up to 10 times, and at the 10th time actually it is going to increment by 1. 1 will be like 11. 11 less than or equals to 10, that's a false condition. Then for loop is going to be break. It going to break from there with the wrong condition, and it will stop the stop executing that recurring process. Okay, that's how it does. Okay, so it's you might be seeing all these things, okay, here in the PPT. What is the start value and what is the condition to stop and proceed code, start value, okay, these things, okay, you can check it. Okay, it is the start value, this is the condition, and this is the proceed code, okay, and these are the instructions. Okay, if you see this output, if you can, just find out from the for loop, okay, what is the output that you see? How many times James will get printed? Okay, that's 4 times. Okay, okay. Before going to this concept, okay, let us execute one of the program from do while. Okay, sorry, for loop. Okay, so it is very straightforward program. Okay, I'm not having anything, any logic. I'm just, giving, printing the value from 1 to 10. Okay, so how do you print it? You know the condition, right? Till which point that you need to print it, right? So you mean to say, like, till point which point you wanted to run that iteration, like I less than or equals to 10. Okay, so let me run it. And what do you see here? Java for loop. Okay, so it printed all 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, right? And you can do lot of things with for loop and while loop. Okay, so if you are interested to do something, okay, to create some programs, okay, to print some outputs, okay, something like this. Okay, so try to print something like this using for loop. Okay, you can do these things, uh, based upon the inner for loops. Okay, and you know inside a loop, first, you have to create a loop, and then inside also you have to create a loop. Okay, then you can print those things, multiple times, okay, based upon your condition. So just try to create some of the programs like this, so that you will understand how for loop and while loop and do while will work. Okay, so let's see. Okay, if you have any questions on the loops, okay, do let me know. I'll try to answer them. Otherwise, I'll go for the next topic. Okay, I'm taking it as no. And then let me continue the next topic. Okay, so oops. Okay, what is oops, right? Oops is like, object oriented programming. Okay, so what exactly this is? So it's not kind of, any other, it is kind of a methodology that it says, okay, whatever you do something in the Java or, in any programming language, it should be an object usage in programming. So this object oriented programming enforces us to use everything as an object. Okay, so let us take a look, actually, what are all the concepts that we have in this oops concept. Okay, so first one is class and object, and then inheritance, polymorphism, abstraction, encapsulation. So these are the main oops concepts that we cover. Okay, let us go one by one. Okay, so So most of you already know that, we were writing some program with class, okay? But you know, uh, what exactly we do with that classes and all, we don't know. But you guys know, we were writing every each and every program with a class, right? Okay. So how this works, like, let's see. So on the top that you see the image, whatever you are seeing it here, actually it represents a class. Okay. So why it is representing a class? Because if you see here, this is a building class. You see multiple buildings over here, different buildings, but everything will come under a building only, right? So you see multiple different dogs. Okay. So the class of these, animals is dogs, right? And you see here, there are one desktop computer and, one laptop computer, and there is one another old computer, whatever we had it. Okay. But all these three things will come under computer class only, right? So the class is a kind of, blueprint. Okay. Okay. So, and the instance of that will be, the outcome. Okay. So if you see here, the building is a class and the instance is Empire State Building, in the US. Okay. And you see a dog over here. This is our class, and Lassie is one of the instance of dog. And computer is our class, and your computer desktop is one of the instance of computer. Okay. So I will go deeper in this. Okay. One second. Okay. So it's time to enter. Okay. So into the object oriented programming. Okay. So now what exactly Java provides us, right? Java is also, a kind of object oriented programming only, because you already know that, okay, we were writing everything in the class. Okay. Class, and inside we use that public static void main, and we are trying to execute the logic, right? So what is a class, right? We'll see something. Okay. So if you see here, there are class car. Okay. A class is acts as a blueprint. Okay. Blueprint means, like, if you're building something, you will create a blueprint first and then you build it, right? So consider the class is also a blueprint. Okay. Based upon this blueprint, you might be having different kind of objects that will be getting created. So what do you see here? A class is a blueprint, right? That's what you understood. What is blueprint? Okay. So let us consider this is an example. So you created a class called car. Okay. What is that? It has its own properties, like, it has body, and it has four wheels. Okay. And it has different color properties and everything, right? So when you say a car is a car, when you see it has a very good, when it has four wheels, and when it has, like, the complete body structure, so you say it as a car, right? But there are, in the market, actually there are many cars are available with the different types, right? So we consider them as an object of the existing class. Why we consider that? Because these objects are following the blueprint of the car, right? Car is the main thing, and all these objects are getting created, you know in the based upon the, car blueprint, right? So let's see, we have different type of cars now. one is Polo car, Mini car, and Beetle car. Okay, so how this does, right? Even though it comes from car family, but these things are having their own properties. Okay, but they follow the same blueprint of car. What is that? It will be having four wheels, and it will be having four tires, and it will be having a car body. Okay, so do you might be understand now, right? The objects and everything can be different, on the colors, on the shape, on or, based up, but will keep the original properties whatever it acquired from the class. Okay, so this is called like object oriented programming. Like whatever we were doing it entirely depends on your objects. Okay, and what is the object? And object is kind of an example, okay, of your class. And it carries all the properties of your class. Okay, it can keep its own property, and also it can, okay, hold all the properties of the class. Okay, so let's say if you have a shape of the car is one of the property, and uh, color of the car, it's one of the property. So it is the object is going to maintain the same properties whatever you acquire it from the class, and it has its own properties also. Okay, so you might understand what is the class and what is the object. So just consider class as a blueprint. Okay, and objects carries those blueprint related, from this blueprint, we can design a type of car, like that, as that we treated it as an object. Okay, so what is an object, right? You know like what exactly class now. Okay, so okay, we can create infinite objects from a blueprint, that is class. Okay, but an object can have only one blueprint class. Okay, so once you create, the vice versa, right? You can create multiple objects for a class, but but the blueprint, but the object will be having only one blueprint class. That's what it tells. Okay, so an interesting topic that we are going to learn now. Okay, this is what the example for creating a class, and how we create an object and all those things. Okay, so you till now you don't know how to create an object, right? So I will tell you, like with an example, how we do that. Okay, so this is a simple car program that we have created. Okay, public class car. Okay, and which is color white, which we take one property, string color white. Okay, and we took one more class, public class test, and we created a main method over there, and we created object. How we created an object? This is our syntax. Okay, when you say car, you car is our class name, and you created one of the object of the car. Okay, and you have used a keyword called new. Okay, what is this new? New is the keyword which will instantiate, okay, your car class. Okay, so you see here this car, and parenthesis that we are using it here. Okay, this is the representation of a constructor. Okay, so I will cover the constructor topic, okay, when we go deeper after this OOPS concept. So you'll be able to understand why we use this constructor. And this is, we call it as default constructor to create an object. Okay. So when you print this system.out.println object.mercedes.color, okay, what it's going to print? It is going to print the color as white, because you are acquiring the property of car using the object. So that means, so you are acquiring the blueprint of your car, to the object. Okay, so the object Mercedes will be having a property color as a white. Okay, so you can use that color for your for your purpose, like for that object purpose. Okay, so what we have done, object Mercedes dot color, which have given a white as an output. Okay, so what do we say this string color equals to white? We say this as a data member. Okay, or a property, you can say that. Okay, so before going to the next topics, okay, so we'll just try to learn what exactly the method or a function. Okay, so till now, whatever we learn about the class and all, we'll just reiterate them. Okay, okay, a class. Okay, so what we have done here, right? We took an example, right? So I have given like the steps. Okay, how to write a program. Okay, without any issues, right? You have to keep these things in the mind. Okay, whenever you are writing a program. So a class name should start with a capital case. Okay, something like this: car, good, family. And whenever you have something, two words, if you are mixing it, you have to choose the first letter of the good as a capital, and first letter of the second word as a capital, and there should not be any space. So this is why the good family, okay, is one of the class name that you can use it. And an object name should start with a small case letters, and every first letter, okay, of the next word should be in capital, same as like this good family. Okay, so that's why if you see here, my object O is capital, my family F is capital, right? So this is what, like a couple of things that you have to do practice whenever you are creating class and whenever you're creating objects. Okay, so till now we learned about what is exactly object oriented programming, and what is class and its purpose, and what is an object and its purpose. Okay, if you have any questions, do let me know. Okay, okay, as I mentioned, like before going for the next topics, like oops concepts. Okay, we have to cover a couple of things. Okay, we'll do that first. So what are methods? Okay, so you see a picture over here, right? So the above picture consists, like there are different type of tasks that we are doing it for farming, right? So the tasks such as sowing seeds, watering, fertilizing, okay, and combined together to achieve a single goal, which is good growth of crops, right? So, and when all these processes work together, we get output in the form of green, right? Nourished crops. Okay. Similarly, methods in programming are group of statements written to carry out a specific operation. Okay. So you can think of methods as functions if you already know what they are. Okay, so like you might understood, right? Like we have a set of instructions that needs to be executed properly. Okay, so these instructions would should be some type, some kind of a sequential order. Okay, so whatever you see on that image, right? And at the end of this method, okay, so you will be having a proper output, and you will be having something like very good output of that method. Okay, okay, so what is this, like a repetitive manner, right? Whenever you have a kind of a method, okay, method or a function, so you have written those statements, okay, inside that method, and this method can be reusable. Okay, this method can be reusable with by calling the method function name in any place of other program. Okay, you might understood, right? Like, if you are doing a project, okay, and you have written a method which contains a reusable code, okay, and this reusable code can be called by any of your project member, okay, without rewriting that code as a duplicate. Okay, so you can still use that method, okay, in any of the member that you are working on your project. Okay, and so it is kind of, write once and use many times as you want. Okay, so that is what, the method tells. Okay, and we have very good examples in the Java itself. Okay, Java provides many inbuilt functions that we can use it multiple times, okay, without changing the code. So let us take one example from the string. Okay, so you have a string class, okay, which is predefined and which is given by Java to us, to utilize the string operations. So you can do lot of operations in the string class. Okay, so let us say, if you have a name, you wanted to reverse it, you don't require to write, entire program to reverse that string. Okay, so you can still utilize the existing functions which we have it from the string builder. You can reverse that string and you can utilize it, wherever you want. That means the implementation of that method was done one time, and you can use that method many times wherever it is needed in your project. Okay. Okay, so now you might remember this one. Okay, so we were using the system.out.println from day one. Okay, so to print something. So what is the system.out.println? So this is, system.out.println is one of the method which created by Java. Okay, and this println is helping us to print something in the console. Okay, or the screen. So how it works, right? Can you? Okay, so you cannot write printing a bunch of statements every time you want to print something on the screen, right? So because of that, methods enable us to perform similar operations without writing the same statements repeatedly. Okay, so if you imagine, like, in the system.out.println there is a piece of code that executes and it prints the value that whatever you're passing it prints that value to the screen. So you know is it look feasible to write that set of instructions every time in your program, to print such kind of statements? Like, you want to say hello sometime, you want to say hi, you want to say some other statements to should be printed for all these conditions. Is it feasible to write all those 5 different lines of code, you know, to print this hello message to the screen? It's not, right. It doesn't look good. Okay, so that's why you wrap them into a method. Okay, and you can utilize that method wherever you want. Okay, to print something on the screen. Not only printing, there are several things that we do. Okay, uh, you know like as I mentioned, reverse of string, sorting. Okay, and you wanted to search some element in particular string. Okay, so these things, okay, you have to kind of reutilizations, okay, that we do on the methods, right? So on the logic basically. So those things can be added as a method. So methods will enable such kind of things not to write the duplicate code. You can utilize the existing code which you already created in some module. Okay, let's explore. Okay, so how do you write a method, right? So you write a method using these things. Okay, public, static, and int, name, and parameters, and close brace, open braces and close braces. Okay, in between that you write all the repetitive statement, or the logic, whatever you wanted to write in that method. Okay, so what it is, public, static, what are they? So public and static are the modifiers, okay, and are used to define the scope of those methods. For now, take them as granted. I'll try to explain what is public and what is static later. Okay. And int, you already know this is a primitive data type. So which is going to, that means whenever you have some int or something in the method signature, so consider it as a return type. So that method is going to return an integer value. Okay. When it is returning back, it is going to return integer value. Okay. So the name is the method of the name, and the parameters is like, if you wanted to pass some, primitive data types, or, objects, some class objects. Yeah, that depends on your requirement. Whatever you are writing in the method, okay, you can still utilize them, okay, as the parameters that you wanted to pass it. Okay. So let us take an example, okay, how to write a simple method. Okay. So this is like, I wanted to say hello. Okay. Okay. So I have written like public static void hello. What is void? You did not see now, right? Void is the one of the return type which does not return anything. So this method is returning nothing. Okay. So void is one of that. Okay. So void represents like, the return type, which is it's not returning anything. Okay. So in the public static void hello is our method name, and we don't have any parameters. So that's why we have chosen that empty parenthesis, and inside the loop, sorry, inside the method, we have written like, one system out dot println statement. Okay, which will print something. Okay. Okay, so I just mentioned like, if you want to print something, you don't require to write that code, whatever we have it inside system.out.println again and again. So we just write that a method, okay, and we will learn how to, call a method soon. Okay, so before that, actually, we will learn something, what exactly the parameter does. Okay, how do you pass the parameters? Okay, let us consider an example of, adding couple of numbers. Okay, so if you see here, this is 45 plus 24. You need some output, right? So for adding these two numbers, what exactly you need to take? Okay, in the method, okay, you have empty parentheses that you saw. So you can pass couple of integer numbers over there, to perform some addition in that method, and it is going to return back the added value between those two numbers. Okay, so how it does, like, let's see, in number 1 2 that we have taken as a parameter here. So if you see here in num1 and num2, okay, where num1 and num2 are the two integers respectively. Okay, so let me show you how these things. Okay, okay, so for anything that you need to do performance sorry for performing that addition, or of two integers. Okay, so we have to return something, right? So return means like, what you're going to return. So you are going to return the addition of two numbers, right? Or the sum of two numbers. So the sum of two numbers will be always a number, right? So what would be the return type of this method? Int. Okay, So depending on the past values. Actually, if you use the past values as int, you can use the return type as int. If you use long, you can use the return type as long. Okay, so like let's see how you can write this. Okay, program. Okay, so sorry, method. Okay, public static int sum, and you have int num1 comma num2, number 1 plus number 2 return, right? So what you are doing in the method, you are returning the value whatever you got it as a parameter, number 1 plus number 2, right? So that means this method will give you the sum of two numbers, right? So you don't require to add this logic num1 plus num2 every time whenever you wanted to write somewhere in the adding some numbers. So you can directly call this method saying that sum of these two numbers, and what it will return, it will return the sum of the values. Okay, now you saw like how to write a method, but you need to know how to call those methods, right? So calling those methods are very simple. Okay, so you have to be careful, like while you call them, you have to be very careful identifying the parameters whatever we need to pass it, and you need to verify how to check on the return type. Okay, let's see. So calling a method, I just told you, like it follows a syntax. So the syntax is like method name and parameters. Okay, so that's it. If you want to call a method, you can just use this one, and if it is having any return type, based upon the return type, you will assign that to uh, a data type, a variable. Okay. So I already mentioned this. Okay, so we were calling system.out.println with a kind of a variable that we are passing as a parameter. So what was the parameter? The parameter is like whatever you wanted to print on the screen, that you are passing a string parameter to the println method. So the println method is capturing that parameter whichever you passed it, and it is printing it. So that's how we already use this kind of calling method, but we will check how to call certain methods, okay, or certain functions in your user defined classes. Okay, so I have a class called main, and I have a method called hello in it, and I'm just printing some method in the some value in that, and I have created a main method for that, and I just called hello. Okay, and this hello is does not returning anything because it is void, and but it is printing something in the output, okay, on the console. Okay, so this is how you just call a method. Okay, hello, and the parenthesis open and close. If you have something in the parenthesis, you can just pass it as something like this. Okay, so I have another example called class main, and I'm just adding some of the numbers. Sum is equals to num1 plus num2, and this is how it completes. Like you can add those things. Int add sum of 2 comma 4. Why we have this int? Because this method is going to return back integer value, and sum 3 comma 6 we are having int value as add 2. So it is going to give you the output called 6 and 9 based upon the input parameters. Okay, so I'll stop here. Okay, so I'll tomorrow we'll continue with the other things. Okay, so to summarize whatever we learned, actually methods are reusable blocks of code written, to perform some specific tasks. Okay. So methods in Java are written in the following way. This is our syntax, and to call them, specifically, you have to know the name and parameters of that method. Okay, that's what. Yeah. So guys, if you have any questions, do let me know. Otherwise, we can conclude the session. Okay.